Jared Polis was first elected to represent Colorado's 2nd Congressional District in 2008. He serves on the powerful Committee on Rules, the Committee on Education and the Workforce, and the Committee on Ethics. Congressman Polis believes that education is the single most meaningful investment Americans can make in its economic future and in its people. He has worked with Democrats and Republicans to reform our nation's immigration policies, to advance the cause of civil rights and equality for all, and to protect Colorado and the world's natural beauty and environment. While attending Princeton, Polis co-founded his first company, American Information Systems, a success that he followed with the launching of BlueMountain.com and ProFlowers.com. He and his partner, Marlon, have 2 children, and we are pleased to have him here with us today. So please give a warm welcome to Congressman Jared Polis.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Dan and others, for inviting me to join you today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak with you and to share with you my vision for Colorado's future, our future. You know, in politics today, too many people seek out the company only of those that they can count on to tell them that they're 100% right, and that somehow those who disagree with us are bad people. We see that now too often in the approach of too many people in positions of power in Washington. And it's a type of failure of leadership that leads to division and tribalism, and above all, a lot of unsolved problems and missed opportunities. We need leaders today who bring folks together from different perspectives to do the hard but important work of hammering out a path forward to actually solve the challenges we face. That's the kind of governor that I plan to be. I can't promise that I'll always agree with you on every issue, but I can promise you an open mind, honest feedback, and a genuine commitment to find common ground with an underlying core value and passion for making our state, our economy, our way of life in Colorado even better. Before I talk about some of the issues specific to the energy industry, I want to share with you some of my overarching goals for Colorado that I'll pursue as governor, because these are issues that affect the daily lives of energy companies and energy workers at all levels too. Everywhere I go in our state, from the Western Slope to the Front Range to the Eastern Plains to Southern Colorado, I hear from many families that feel squeezed. Even with the overall economy growing, for many people, paychecks haven't kept up with the increase in the cost of living. Between housing and health care, school, daycare, it's getting harder and harder for many Coloradans to get ahead. And nobody wants an economy where people just get by. We want an economy where Coloradans can thrive and enjoy the quality of life that makes our state such an incredible place to live. And to build that economy, we need to take immediate action on a number of issues. We need to reduce the cost of health care to both businesses like yours and individuals who buy their health care independently. We need to strengthen our education system from pre-K all the way through higher education. I've been a public school superintendent. I chaired a bipartisan group on the State Board of Education. I've worked hard to improve our schools, and I have the knowledge and the vision to deliver on a better education for kids in Colorado. And for those of you who are parents like Walker and I of young children, you're all too familiar with the outrageously high costs of preschool and kindergarten in our state. It's time for us to make full-day preschool and kindergarten available to every family, like so many other states do, as well as promote registered apprenticeships and skills training to lead for good paying careers for kids that aren't necessarily bound for four-year universities. We need to provide our schools with the funding they need to give our children the education they deserve, to help make sure that we have people that are well prepared to serve important roles in all industries, including the energy industry, when they graduate. And we need an economy that works for everyone in our state, no matter where you live. That means building a 21st century infrastructure, creating more opportunities for affordable housing in both mountain areas, rural areas, and urban areas, and finally solving some of our important rural broadband challenges so that every community can share in Colorado's success story. But you know, in spite of the challenges we face, Colorado's economy today is the envy of the nation. And if we want to keep it that way, we can't ignore the role that the oil and gas industry has played in our growth, or the significant wages and tax revenues that the oil and gas industry creates in our state. But neither can we ignore the conflicts between homeowners and operators, between surface rights and mineral rights, between state government and local government. And we must all unite, of course, in putting health and safety first to protect ourselves and future generations, as well as the amazing outdoor spaces that really make Colorado so special for all of us. Too often when these conflicts arise, we retreat and deflect instead of confronting these challenges head on. So too often when these conflicts arise, we retreat and deflect instead of confronting these challenges, which isn't easy. When oil and gas workers providing for their families say they're afraid that new regulations will cost them jobs, the response can't be indifference. But so too when environmental advocates say that our existing laws aren't doing enough to keep Coloradans safe in all instances, the response can't simply be it's overregulation. I'm not approaching these issues just as an elected official. I'm approaching them as an entrepreneur and as a businessman. I launched my first business out of my college dorm room, an internet service provider that brought the internet to many homes for the first time in the 1990s. So I started and raised capital for a number of companies, including a internet flower company, proflowers.com. From the top, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I was just getting to the oil and gas component. I suspect that some of you want to hear about that. I mean, I covered schools and infrastructure and all the important issues, but I'm just getting to some of the core of the matter. But, you know, again, truly, when conflicts arise, and there are these conflicts that we talked about, whether it's between state and local governments, surface rights and mineral rights, homeowners and operators, there are too many politicians and so-called leaders that retreat and deflect because, of course, these conversations are hard. I get that. But they're important conversations to have, and they're important problems to solve. And I approach it as a business person who started several high-tech companies, took one company, ProFlowers, public. I did everything from loading the trucks right before Valentine's Day to leading it to a successful exit. I co-founded a startup accelerator, Techstars, and launched a nonprofit startup accelerator, Patriot Bootcamp, to help military families, veterans, and their spouses to have the same opportunities to launch their own business and live their dreams. And you know, for me, the most gratifying part of when my businesses took off was seeing how the hundreds of good jobs that they created helped our employees buy homes, further their education, start families, and provide for them. As those of you who are on the business side know, it's truly about the team when we accomplish something in business, and it's about those who work hard to get you there. And Colorado is and needs to continue to be a state that respects the dignity of work, where we value the skills, responsibility, and tireless work ethic that our oil and gas workforce brings to the table. And you know, no one's dignity or livelihood should ever be dismissed or belittled, even in the name of a cause as noble as the health and safety of our communities and protecting our environment. But that doesn't mean that health and safety aren't legitimate concerns or that we're always doing enough to protect Coloradans. And I know that when tragedies like Firestone happen, the men and women in this room feel those tragedies very deeply. And when there are flaws in our pipeline infrastructure, no one is more at risk than the hardworking men and women in the oil and gas industry. Of course, Coloradans deserve to be safe in our homes, and our oil and gas workers deserve to be safe on the job. Governor Hickenlooper has taken important and commendable steps to identify and fix pipeline defects that pose a safety risk, and it was equally commendable how successfully industry leaders and environmentalists came together on major steps to combat climate change by crafting the first ever methane emission rules. I will be glad to build upon all this good work as governor. I'm heartened that the Pipe Fitters Union, here with us today, which represents many oil and gas workers, endorsed me early on in this race as a testament to my commitment to protecting both the livelihood and safety of their members. Sadly, the old pattern of talking past and belittling one another is very much dominating public discourse in Colorado today. No, I didn't time that line for that interruption. But this divisiveness, frankly, is even on the ballot. And I want to be very clear again where I stand on this. As I said during the Democratic primary, I oppose Initiative 97, just as I opposed a nearly identical measure before. And I oppose Initiative 108. Both are simply the wrong solutions for Colorado. And it is the role of governor to do what's best for our state. The conflicts that presumably spurred each of these initiatives, 97 and 108, comprise only a small fraction of oil and gas development in our state. And yet the reach of these measures would be much broader. Initiative 97 would all but ban fracking in Colorado, a position I've never supported, no matter how much Walker Stapleton may wish I had. And that's going to be the only mention of my opponent from me in this speech. Initiative 108 threatens our very way of life. And it's wrong for our state. It would prevent guidelines and planning that help ensure our neighborhoods remain livable, enjoyable places where all of you and me raise our kids. It would have far-reaching ramifications well beyond oil and gas development. Does anybody in this room truly believe that local government or state government shouldn't be able to zone for hog farms or cannabis or strip clubs? I certainly don't want them in my neighborhood. Regarding setbacks, certainly we should work in a bipartisan way to enact stronger ones, but as a backstop for when the landowner and operator can't reach a surface use agreement. Surface use agreements are a common source of income for farmers and ranchers, and give them a say over where the surface impact occurs on their land so it doesn't interfere with their main livelihood. Encouraging homeowners and operators to reach these agreements when conflicts arise is a best practice that should be honored and should occur. And of course, we need to make sure that school setbacks are taken into account, not just the classrooms, but also playgrounds and outdoor education areas, so that kids at school in Greeley or anywhere aren't playing soccer in the shadow of an active drilling operation. And I understand that the COGCC is taking this up. We also need to provide certainty around local control in Colorado. Too often, no one can agree what the current law says, and the result is a flood of costly litigation, and that's bad for all sides. It's bad for consumers, it's bad for homeowners, it's bad for local governments, and it's bad for the energy industry. Local communities continue turning to fracking bans and the costly litigation they entail as a last resort because our existing laws are often without giving them a meaningful seat at the table. And I believe that all parties should be able to come together on reasonable changes that give cities and towns a say in the location of surface activities and better protect homes and schools and hospitals. And some of these changes can be as simple as allowing local communities to enforce their noise ordinances in the middle of the night. Now, I know that some of you in this room might have different views for many of the positions that I just outlined, and I want you to know I don't take it personally. Even when our policy views are different, the outcomes we want for Colorado are the same. And the oil and gas industry is an important stakeholder in building a better Colorado for the future. I've been a problem solver all my life. I'll work with Coloradans from every perspective to solve the challenges we face and create more stability and certainty. All of us want to protect the Colorado way of life for our kids and grandkids. I don't doubt that for a moment. Whether it's the folks who interrupted our speech, or whether it's those of you who work in the energy industry, we should acknowledge that what you all want and what you care about is the Colorado way of life and how we can even make it better for our kids and grandkids. And all of us want a future where every Coloradan, of course, can be safe in their home and build a good paying career doing what they love to do and what supports them and their family. I look forward to working with all of you to make that vision for Colorado a reality. Thank you.
So as you just heard from Congressman Polis, there are going to be times if he becomes governor when we're going to disagree with him. And we're going to disagree vehemently, but we are going to do so in a very civil manner. I want everybody here to thank him for being here today and having this discussion with us. We need to have these conversations as a society, as Coloradans, and as Americans. We need to be able to have civil discussions. I think what we saw here today is the face of what we're up against. We have seen people who will shout at us, who do not want to listen to us, and that is okay. But I have to tell you, I am more resolved today than I was yesterday, and I didn't think that was possible. And I hope all of you are too. We are all reasonable people, but we have to understand that there are times when we need to stand up for ourselves and stand up for our industry, and we need to do that this fall, and I appreciate all of you being here to be a part of this lunch. Final comments. We have a few little housekeeping notes here for all of you. Our afternoon schedule has changed. I hope you can stay and join us in the afternoon. Our gas markets panel is going to be at 1:45. And our game-changing technology session is going to be at 3:30. So we flopped those around, and I hope that you do not miss our closing session, which is going to be at 4:15 today. Our board chairman, Chip Reimer, is going to deliver some remarks. We have another speaker, Ed Goez from the Terrence Group, who's going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about the election, and we're going to talk about everything that is at stake for our industry this fall. We're going to hear what we need to do so we're all engaged, we're all working together, we're united and fighting for our livelihoods. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.